Now, we've done a lot together this year at Mendon, including making new and memorable cheers. Now, to start, I want students, parents, siblings, faculty, families, relatives to please join me in one final cheer of We Are Mendon. Here we go. We are Mendon. We are Mendon. We are Mendon. We are Mendon. That's great. That is really great. Now let's get started. This is the speech. It is for the class. It is about the class. And it will be given by the class. This is our speech. Now, the class of 2010 is no ordinary class. We are spirited, generous, inclusive, accepting. We carry ourselves with pride. Now, one of the biggest traits of the class of 2010 is our sense of togetherness. And in the spirit of togetherness, we're going to give this speech together today while reminding us of all the fun we had doing things with each other. Now, today I need your help. Today I need you to bring back all the enthusiasm and energy from sports games and pep rallies for this final moment. Now, during the speech, when I throw my left hand up, I need you all to yell as loud as you possibly can the name of the high school we attend. All right, so let's try this. Here we go. All right, that was okay. A little louder now, please. Nice. Now, I'm also going to be going through some memories, and I'll need some help remembering them. So when I throw my right hand up, I'm going to need you to yell as loud as you possibly can, I remember! All right, so let's try that. That was good. A little bit louder now. Here we go. Remember it. That's nice. Great. Here we go. So since we're giving this speech together, it is no surprise that my theme for today is togetherness. We've done a lot together in the past. There are moments we share together today, and there is no doubt that our sense of togetherness will carry on into our futures. Looking back, we've done a lot together, and we've carried it through our years in Pittsburgh. Now, the class of 2010 is the last class to proudly ever be able to say, back in my day, there was only one middle school. Class, do you remember those middle school years? And even though that class is split into two high schools, we have remained close with our friends at Sutherland and have become even closer with each other, even though we all secretly know the better of the two schools is. Now, it was easy 4 years ago when we were ruling the school with confidence, but I remember not being so confident on that first day of freshman year. Boy, were we nervous. A new school, new buildings, new classmates, they all seemed a bit intimidating. Half of our grade had virtually disappeared as they headed off to Sutherland, and they were replaced by young adults driving to school, in cars, some of which even showing off their thick beards. Do you remember those first couple of days, Mendon? However, our anxiety quickly cooled. We saw that this high school is not packed with cliques and bullies, but rather outgoing and friendly kids who made us feel like we belonged here. I believe this attitude has stayed true today, and together, the class of 2010 has been a main contributor. Because that is the mentality that we have here at. I remember deciphering my first schedule, wondering what the heck X block could possibly mean. I thought that was not an elective I had signed up for. And who could forget homecoming, the first pep rally, the homecoming game, and that classic homecoming dance. I recall struggling with this class how to figure out, one, how to make those darn tissue paper flowers, and two, how to craft enough of them to resemble a pair of Vikings on a T-bird for our 1950 style float. Class, do you remember that float? And in the years that followed our freshman year, we began to show the community that we were no ordinary class. We were a class that looked out for each other, whether through protecting each other from the dangers of texting while driving, or putting thousands of hours back into the community community with our community service work, or by understanding the different lives we all lead and empathizing with each other during a school assembly led by Michael Pritchard. That memory stands out strongly in my mind. I remember sitting in my chair in the audience, watching my fellow classmates go up to the front of the entire student body and reveal some very personal things. But I also remember in the aftermath of the Michael Pritchard experience, we took his advice to heart. The students who spoke were not laughed at, but admired and treated with respect. That is the class that I remember. Do you remember that event? But together we moved on, and we made it to the present, which I consider to be our senior year. Now this was the moment we had anticipated for 4 years, and boy did we make the most of it. On our first day of school, we made it known that the class of 2010 was one wild bunch. Whether you were good or evil, everybody caught the jungle fever. And when homecoming came around, the seniors did it in style. Now we needed a pep rally for the ages, and boy did we get one. That day, I remember each class cheering for their designated sumo wrestling teacher as they made their entrance for our main event. And I remember the roar erupting from the senior class when our senior sumo made his entrance not as a teacher, but as our dear friend Brian Adams, who minutes later would unleash his inner savage all over poor Mrs. Valenti. Brian, I never knew you had it in you, but I will sure remember it. Class, do you remember that sumo match? And speaking of spirit, here is a class that was able to revive a tradition from long ago and make it more successful than ever. A massive tailgate was coordinated before our big football game, and months later, this class was able to fill not one but 4 fan buses to take students to the Rainbow Classic, riding on what would be deemed the Viking vessel. And that night, I remember the entire Minden student body going hoarse as we ultimately lost the game in double overtime by a single point. Now, Sutherland may have won the game, but which team had the loudest and most dedicated fans? That's right. Now, no offense, boys, but I also remember the Lady Vikings dominating the court, the softball diamond, and the lacrosse field. Now, just the girls, what team did you play for? Are you serious right now? What team did you play for? And this year especially, I see that we are a class expressing inclusion. We are open to welcoming new friends to our group. The class of 2010 launched the Menden Link Crew, where we served as role models to the Vikings in training. And our views on school issues did not fall on deaf ears, as the class of 2010 packed the room for the newly created student voice meetings. We're a class that is not afraid to voice our opinion and take action. But as we sit here together today, let us not forget 2 of our classmates who should be sharing this special occasion with us. Although they will not be able to walk across the stage, we will always cherish the moments we had with them. 10 years ago, Caitlin Paisley passed away, and today we remember her every February with a memorial basketball game to celebrate the energy that she had and the fun times she always created. And only 4 years ago, our dear friend Jeff Milano Johnson suddenly passed away. Now, Jeff was always loving life and finding the humor in everything. Whenever something wasn't going right, Jeff was always there with this smile that made you just able to laugh it all off. Today, we will never forget our fallen classmates and the opportunities they will miss out on. We need to live our lives as they would have wanted us to. Never forget them, and always tell yourself. So building on the past and the present, it's important to keep that spirit of togetherness alive as we move into the future. On graduation day, we leave our building, but we do not leave each other. Men, be not afraid of the future, as all of us are going on to bigger and better things with opportunity right around the corner. And as children of the 21st century, we reap the benefits of today's technology. We have resources that were never available to previous generations. We have the ability to stay in touch with the click of a button. Look at the wonders of Facebook in keeping people connected. Contact each other frequently and update each other with your latest accomplishment. Post, tweet, like, update your network, because together we are a class that is always interested in what you're up to. And in future years, when you relax, and you flip through the channels of your TV or your iPad or whatever it is, maybe you'll also remember Mendon. Perhaps you'll come across Adam Sandler's performance in The Wedding Singer, and you'll think to yourself, the musical version I saw at Mendon had way better actors. Change the channel to Michael Phelps winning yet another gold medal and ask yourself if Pittsburgh's swim team can give him a run for his money. And who knows, maybe you'll even see a Mendon grad accepting the Nobel Prize. And you'll even ask yourself, is that Jonathan Allentoff conducting the Royal Swedish Orchestra? Mendon, will you remember those great performances? Now, the future brings many new opportunities for togetherness. New schools, new friends, new families. Perhaps in 30 years, with families of our own gathered around the Thanksgiving table, we will see that well-dressed bird, and together we will all have the memory of the day Mr. Tealking dressed up. Class, will you remember Mr. Tealking in that costume? Mr. Tealking, in 30 years, will you remember that costume? So thanks for the memories, Mendon. We've had an exceptional high school experience, one we can look back on with pride and a smile. Remember the great things we did together then, the wonderful moment we shared together today, and no doubt our ability to remember how important togetherness will be in our futures. I know I'll remember these times. You? Now together